panel brings together 4 different engines of volunteering also. And 100-year-old global service club network, which is the Rotary. India's largest structured student volunteering program, which is the NSS. A media institute training young people to volunteer with their actual skills, which is MET. And a global bank CSR function, which is Standard Chartered. Today, I will be asking one quick question to you all to begin with. What is the single biggest misconception people have about your ecosystem that you are a part of?
Okay, so good morning everyone. Thank you for having all of us here on this platform. The biggest misconception about NSS, I would say, about the NSS volunteers is that they are free. Free in terms of time and free in terms of labor as well. People think that they are very easily deployable. They don't have any other things to do in life, and that's why they are NSS volunteers, and that is the biggest misconception. Thank you.
Priya?
Hi, thank you. Hi, Shirish. Hi, Shirish sir. See, one of the things that I see in the educational ecosystem is, जो कुछ नहीं करते हैं वो volunteering करते हैं. Okay, and the biggest misconception is that volunteering starts at educational institutions. It doesn't. It starts at home.
Hi, good morning. I think the biggest misconception about Rotary is that it's a club and like it's a social club, but it's not. Yes, social is very powerful at Rotary, and I think that is our fuel for service. So it's not only just a social club.
Absolutely.
Hi, good morning everyone. So about the corporate, I'll say that it's about the resources. What people see that we have plenty of resources. Now resources, I'll not talk about here money. I will talk here about the human capital, what we have. So it is not like that we have like, large human capital and then anytime, okay, chalo wahan se uthao logon ko, and then people can do the volunteering. So every time it's not the resources. That's, I feel that's a misconception, and we'll just indulge about it, what exactly meaning of the resources is.
Great, amazing. Now my question is to the audience, in fact. Quick show of hands. How many of y'all have partnered or volunteered through a Rotary club in the past 2 years or more maybe? Any show of hands, please? Okay, great, interesting. Now keep your hand up if you actually understood what the Rotary's ecosystem works, how it works before you all got into the system or partnered with them. None. Okay, that's exactly what I want to explore with Sarika. Sarika, what has allowed Rotary to scale and sustain projects over the long periods? And what would it take organizations to borrow from that model that Rotary follows?
So what has sustained Rotary is continuity, community trust, and a lot of volunteering capital which Rotary brings on the table. And I think the future for anything to work is collaboration and not really replicate. So partnerships are very powerful, and that's what Rotary believes in.
That's amazing. In fact, Rotary sits at an interesting spot, They are, y'all are not really quite a corporate, but y'all have a lot of individuals who are working with corporates. Not quite a grassroots NGO also. When a corporate CSR team and a Rotary club partners on something, what is the assumption that the corporate side almost always gets wrong?
In my experience, I've not really seen that a corporate side gets anything wrong about Rotary. I think they're very appreciative of the kind of service we do because it's very honorary and very voluntary. So what we bring on the table is a lot of members who are from varied fields, be it professionals, business owners. So that's very powerful, and I don't really see CSRs getting us wrong in any way.
Amazing. That's really, really good to hear.
No, that's the truth. I mean, yeah, I think they are very surprised with the kind of honorary and voluntary work we do without any vested interest.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, a lot of Rotary clubs are also misunderstood in that sense. When people really start partnering with them, is when people realize the kind of scale, the kind of outcomes.
Yeah, I think the CSRs underestimate our strength at times. No, they get very surprised that so much of their funding is going directly to the beneficiary because we hardly have any admin costs. It's all of us who are volunteering all the time.
Yeah. Great. That's exactly what I wanted. I want to try something. If you have raise your hands again. If you've just said, let's just get NSS students and have them, in fact, volunteer for something. You all can raise your hands. Nobody is. Have you all? Okay, great. Because that's a lot that's packed in that one sentence. Now my next question is to Kranti, in fact. NSS has the access to the largest organized youth volunteer base also in the country. What's the biggest myth people have in the room about NSS volunteers? I know you just mentioned that they are free. They can be utilized whenever they are available. What's the reality?
Yes, you rightly mentioned that NSS is the largest student organization or youth-led organization, not in the country, but in the whole world. It is the largest student organization in the world, and that is being recognized by the United Nations as well. I already told you about the myth associated with it. Yes, but NSS में अगर आपको देखा जाए तो you see a large number of volunteers. We have a enormous volunteer pool, but that is just the tip of an iceberg. Because beneath that layer lies the structured ecosystem which only the people who are associated with it will understand. So there is a proper system where, we try to nurture the value of social responsibility, civic engagement, discipline in a systemized way. Right, and that is the ecosystem, and that is needed to be understood. They are just not volunteers, but they are young individuals who are trying to balance their academics, because when they are taking admission in any educational institutes, academics is the most important thing they are expected to do. That is their prior responsibility. Along with that, at that age, when they show their willingness to contribute to the nation building and community development, it is because they are being trained. So that is not just a workforce or manpower. It is the trained volunteer pool that is very much ready to give their contribution to community development and nation building as well.
In fact, that's absolutely right. We at Project Mumbai also have been involved in fact, partnering with the Mumbai University, engaging NSS volunteers, and the kind of skill set and, in fact, the fuel, in fact, of volunteering that comes within the students is amazing and literally something that we look forward to as well.
Like while coming here, I was just looking at that who are the panelists, and when I see that NSS people are here, that time I've realized, and I think Ninad is also here from Renovate, what I'm thinking that why can't that corporate and NSS do together volunteering? Like for example, you guys do camps, right? Why can't then our volunteers also go in that camp? What will happen because of that? The volunteers from our side, which is the professionals, can do mentoring directly there and there only, and actually they can just do all the work what you guys do with them. So that also kind of, the collaboration we can do, which is just actually, it is in my mind. So that can be another way we can just look at it, Ninad.
In fact, that actually weaves into my next question. Looking at the next 5 years, what's one volunteering format NSS has never tried? And also separately asking that we all see a generational shift. Gen Z volunteers are asking for more. Want something which is actually experiential learning, and what is this that you would want to do in the next 5 years?
Yeah. So we have done almost everything. as far as civic engagement, active citizenship, nation building, social transformation. We are doing everything related to environment, health, disaster management, voter awareness, everything we are doing. Now, this is my personal opinion that we want to explore more on the citizen research or research exploration for the NSS volunteers as well. So to just give an example, in my college as a NSS program officer, I have started one project called as Anusandhan, where our NSS volunteers, it is specifically for the NSS volunteers. So the NSS volunteers who are doing different types of projects, we ask them to come out with a research proposal and submit it to the Mumbai University in their prestigious research convention, which is known as Avishkar. This is another, to root out the one more myth कि NSS वाले हैं मतलब सफाई कर्मचारी हैं. So एक taboo, it is not only in the society, but it is also there underlying somewhere in the minds and hearts of the people of our own institutions. So they are being seen in that light. So whenever I ask my volunteers to participate in the cleanup drives, I just ask them to do it symbolically. I tell them that you are not paid for this. You have to just do the symbolic cleaning. To set an example that as we are doing, it is your responsibility as well to keep it clean, right? But then we also wanted to set an example that we are not only doing safai, we are also participating in research. And not only that, I very proudly want to share with all of you that my volunteers are continuously every year participating in the Avishkar Research Convention, not only participating, and we have come out with flying colors. We have won gold medals twice in this research convention. So I want more of the volunteers across the country to engage themselves in the research activities. So citizen research is one of the hot cake that would be appreciated by everyone, because we understand the research contribution of India as compared to other developed nations of the world is comparatively lesser. We are progressing in that direction, but we need more students and young fellows to come in that. So that is one part of it. You asked about the generational gap. So if you are talking 5 years before, so that also was Gen Z. Yeah, so if you want to ask me the difference before 2015, so there is a lot of difference. Now I have been here in this organization since last 18 years, and I have seen some kind of transformation, some uniform things, some common things are there, that they participate in this kind of volunteerism because of the fun factor involved, because of the friendship criteria they see कि कोई इसने किया है तो मुझे भी करना है. 10 मार्क्स तो बहुत दूर दूर तक भी नहीं आता है. काफ़ी सारे लोगों को यहाँ जानकारी नहीं होगी कि द स्टूडेंट्स एट द एंड ऑफ इवन सेमेस्टर्स दे गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ 10 ग्रेस मार्क्स फ्रॉम यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ मुंबई, बट द स्टूडेंट्स, द volunteers are not even bothered whether these marks are credited in their mark sheet or not, because their criteria are somewhat different. So some points are common, but the generation of volunteers before 2015, they were more activity oriented. They were not that bothered about the result. But when we talk about the students, the recent students, the current students, they are more result oriented. They want to know their how much difference, how the difference is being created because of their contribution in this particular type of volunteer activity. So they want measurable, sustainable activities, and they want result oriented activities. So and that is a very positive thing, because there is, again, we have started to create a taboo about Gen Z. बहुत सारी हम तोहमतें लगाते हैं उन पे जो बहुत ट्रू नहीं है, because these are the Gen Zs who participated in the blood donation drives as the frontline workers, when we all were sitting at homes, along with the frontline workers, NSS volunteers were there working on field. And when all the blood banks were dried off, there was a shortage of blood all over. These NSS volunteers came out with the voluntary blood donation drives, and they collected a good number of blood, which helped a lot of patients and thalassemia children. So yeah, so that is the thing. There is a positive change only that I had seen.
Wonderful.
There is no negative thing about Gen Z.
In fact, wonderful. The kind of the questions also that volunteers ask us on what kind of impact am I going to create through this volunteering. Just blindly doing it because I will get a certificate or I'll get those 10 marks is not anymore the criteria, in fact. Before I move into the next question, I feel a lot of us, in fact, I move into asking questions to Haresh. How many of y'all have been in, I do not want y'all to raise hands here, but how many of y'all have sat across in a corporate meeting and felt that I wish the corporate might have understood my project better, or if I could maybe show what exactly the ground reality is as well. A lot of us have felt that, and my questions towards Haresh are directed to those as well. Haresh, if you could remove one constraint, budget, time, leadership buy-in, employee bandwidth, to push corporate volunteering further, what would move the needle ahead?
Yeah.
And why?
Why? Yeah. I'll not say money actually, because to be very frank, I have done lots of volunteering free of cost for corporates. I'll say it's about the issue with the corporate people is that sometimes they're really, really very busy. Now, when I see our finance department or market department, for example, they sit actually till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. अगर आप उनके बाजू से भी जाओगे तो भी they will not understand कि कौन मेरे बाजू से गया है. So sometimes they are that busy. Now it is very difficult to actually push them or to motivate them कि please do volunteering activity. Very difficult. Also, if I tell them to do it on Saturday, Sunday, why will they do it? Because they have their personal commitments, right? Again, it's very difficult. So I'll say bandwidth is the issue. Bandwidth, if we can just remove, and if we can just give them what exactly they want. So for example, if the finance department is there, and if I want to tell the finance department to do the volunteering activity, why can't the finance department facilitate with the NGOs related to finance? So something about what their subject is. And if I give that volunteering to them, that activity, instead of asking them to do the tree plantation or beach cleaning activity, they might not do it. So something like about the bandwidth is the issue, what I feel. If we just remove that constraint, will be really great, and maybe we can achieve many things.
In fact, also leadership buy-in from for long-term projects also from employee volunteers is something that a lot of corporates struggle with because of the bandwidth and time, in fact.
Correct. Because many people, they ask me that, Haresh, if you can just give me a short-term volunteering activity. I don't want to do a long-term volunteering activity. They'll just say that, okay, so for example, with us, and it's there on the website also, that we have 3 volunteering leaves which we give it to the employees in Standard Chartered. So something you do for 3 hours, you get half-day volunteering leave. So people say, okay, give me something for 3 hours. So it's again very difficult for me that 3 घंटे में impact नहीं होता है. It is very difficult for me also to count my impact, right? Because tomorrow my management team asks me that, Haresh, show me the impact. So how will I show that in that 3 hours? So they are actually asking me that give me a short-term volunteering activity, not a long-term one. Okay, so and it's not like that we have not given them. We have given them many long-term activities, but they just register, they just keep like this, and they don't, go that volunteering activity. So that is the big issue with the long-term thing.
Great. In fact, that is also what a lot of NGOs also feel, that I wish the impact that we want to show through different projects that we have, we would want employees to be involved in long-term volunteering engagements as well. Having seen volunteering from inside a large global corporate, what is the one thing that community-rooted models like Rotary or NSS that you wish corporate volunteering programs could borrow?
Actually, that is the reason I said, of doing the collaboration. Now, what these guys are doing are actually going in the grassroots, and working with them, which is a really good thing, really, really good thing. Now, with the corporate, the problem is, and I think I've said this in the last Project Mumbai session, and it's really funny, for example, like, and no gender bias, okay, but the thing is, the women who come for the beach cleaning activity with all the nail paints and everything, and then my NGO, they ask me, Haresh, they are not ready to do the beach cleaning activities because they have just done the nail art or whatever the things. With the guys also is the same thing, because they come there just for the selfies, for the beach cleaning activity, and this is what the complaint I got it. And then मैं क्या करूँ अभी? I'm like, what should I do now? Like, no, it's not about the gloves and about the selfie. But what I'm trying to tell you is just about the intention. Okay? So the thing is that what you guys are doing is actually the grassroots things, what is required to do it. Well, corporate also doing the same thing. However, the difference is that we also do lots of indoor activities. Okay, which you guys don't do. I think yours is more outdoor activities and the impact driven. Ours is more strategy driven. And something is that basically जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना कि हम भगवान के पास नहीं जा रहे तो भगवान को लेके आने दो. So sometimes if we are not going out for the volunteering activity and the volunteers are not going out for the volunteering activity, so then we are organized something in house. And with the air conditioned and everything, So that is, I think, the bigger issue between the corporates and what these guys are doing. That's why the collaboration always works. And that's why I've said, we should definitely do something with NSS, because I see that you guys do that 10 days camp, right? So I'm thinking that 10 days camp is already there. It's already established model. Why can't then our volunteers go spend time with them? Not all 10 days, but at least one day. So उससे होगा क्या? Then the people, the Gen Z can meet the professionals. वहीं पर mentoring हो जाएगा. वहीं पर they can do all the activities. They can see the actual work also, yes. Which I have never thought about. Doing the collaboration with NSS.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, now when I'm moving on to Priya, who is driving volunteering at her organization at MET, while teaching students on how you can use your skill sets to do good as well, and how at an early stage before you get into the employment phase, this is when Priya, I'll be asking you the question that how specific skill set, storytelling, media design, how do you bring all of that to volunteering? What changes both the student and for the cause when volunteering is built around someone's actual craft rather than just generic interchangeable labor for that matter?
I can go on the whole day. There's so much to talk about when it comes to craft, right? I'll start with a simple story. Because at the end of the day, volunteering is not just a one-day activity or a cause that you can take up for a short span of time. And I'll tell you how media plays a very important role. This is not linked to volunteering, but it is linked to the power of media. Okay, in 2015, PNG had come out with a very problematic situation in the country, and they said all across the globe. They had done a research and they found out that 76% of the people all across the world feel that there's inequality at homes. Because 76% of the people felt that laundry is only a man's job and not a woman's job and not just a man's job. Not a man's job. I'm sorry. Ulta. I wish it would have been like that. So 76% felt that it's only a woman's job and not a man's job. At that point in time, Josie, a friend of mine who was the chief creative officer and chairperson at BBDO India, he said, let me do a brief research. This started in 2015. In his 2015's exercise, he first launched a campaign called as Share the Load. When Share the Load campaign started, it started with the gender inequality, and like I said, where the people at home started speaking about why is it only a woman's job. The next year, they did something which was about a father understanding that my daughter is equally educated like my son-in-law, but she also goes to work, my son-in-law also goes to work, but my daughter has to come back home and manage all the work while my son-in-law comes and he's sitting and he's like, hey, I'm tired from work. You know, they try to bring about that mindset change, again through Share the Load campaign. The third year, they did something about why women in our country sleep less, not just in our country, all across the world, sleep less as compared to men. Over a period of time, in about 10 years now, that percentage has dropped to 53%. That has happened because of consistent storytelling and media reaching out to people and telling them what changes in the society if you were to bring about that message through the power of media. So while we are all actually involved in different activities and different ways of volunteering, my students, in fact, are going to be working in storytelling, in understanding how one small message can drive that impact all across the world. That is what we are aiming at.
Wonderful. That's such a moving story also, that how much media can make a difference.
And you can read about it. Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook, actually, she posted a message in 2015 and she said that at my workplace, I've seen a huge change that has happened after the ad released. And if you can, one ad can bring about so much of change in the mindset of people, like what he spoke about is the intention. I'm talking about the mindset. It's not even the intention. You know, like if I were to ask y'all, how many of y'all brushed your teeth this morning? Everybody, right? Why? Because it's a habit. How many of y'all exercised? Yeah, convenience. That's the difference. Volunteering, unless it becomes a habit, it will not change. And it starts from home. It starts from parents. I'm telling you, don't train the students. Students are mind-blowing. I agree with her. I am in love with the Gen Z. How many Gen Zers here? I love you guys here. Really. I love you guys. Me too, sir. Absolutely. I love them. You know who needs training? Parents do. Teachers do. Faculty do. In educational institution, heads of educational institutions, they do. Policy makers, they need. Because they need to understand that when students spends, say, about 6 hours of the day with a mentor or with a faculty in a college, he or she is at the power of influencing the student. And if they do not change and they do not drive the thought that, hey, you can change or you can create an impact, the students will never go ahead with it. The power is not with the students. The power is with the institution and the faculty. So please train them.
In fact, how could media and storytelling be used deliberately as a tool?
That's what I'm saying.
And particularly to bring people across, young people across Mumbai to volunteer in the first place. How can a story like the one that you mentioned be a change to make people volunteer also, you know? That I really wish if someone could create something like that for volunteering. We all everyone in this room does struggle to explain people that volunteering is not just something that you do in free time.
See, she sir is smiling there because we've already discussed this. See, I'd like to believe that we are a collectivist society, you know, and all across the world, look at in America, they're an individualistic society. In a collectivist society, what happens is, you like to do what others do, and you follow what others do. Influencers today, if every single influencer is given the power of responsibility, that means they become socially responsible citizens of the country. They can influence people in terms of jewelry, in terms of cosmetics, in terms of every single thing in this world. How many times has actually an influencer spoken out about volunteering? If there is one influencer a month who goes out and says that this is what the change I want to bring in, not for the sake of money, but this is how I contribute, that itself you'll see the change. You will see a huge number of people contributing and following. That's a power of influence. So yes, in terms of bringing about a change, last year with Project Mumbai, we represented the national anthem with some of the most prominent people in the country. The idea was not to position the celebrities because they already have that position, but was to bring them all together at the common level with the common people of this country. Yeah? And you saw the impact it has created. This year at the Project Mumbai, we intend to create a sort of messaging through a documentary. And we feel that that will have a powerful medium, or it will be a powerful medium at various film festivals, or where youngsters today talk about it openly. It can reach homes faster than any other message that reaches out.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
Same here.
The national anthem that was created last year, in fact, that was also one way or the other a sense of volunteering.
Yes, it is.
Amongst celebrities as well. How much ever we say that we are keeping them at a level higher, the influence that they get in is also something.
See, I remember Shir and we were talking, when we go to the theatres today and we look at the national anthem, how many kids, between the age group of 3, 4, 5 understand why are they standing up for the national anthem? How many of them understand that? You're showing them a flag and you do not understand that. But when you put right people there on that national anthem, the children will question, what is he doing there? He's that actor, what is he doing there? That is where the discussion starts at home. So use the power of influence in storytelling.
Absolutely. We have spent the last 30 minutes talking about volunteering and them answering to my questions, in fact. I want now for y'all to, in fact, ask a question, one question that you would want everyone who comes to you all for any partnership going forward. One question that you would want people to ask you, rather, when they start a partnership. Because I think, in my experience, partnerships works the best when you ask the question first on what do they want. So what is the one question that you would want people to ask you?
Who approach us for partnerships, right? So the first thing, and this is on a very lighter note, I will ask is, NSS cell का approval letter है क्या आपके पास? But whenever we partner with some NGOs and also with some government offices as well, our main concern is what personality development the volunteers are going to get from that activity, because one thing is very clear in most of the cases, that it is for the social benefit. We assume that whenever people are approaching us, we trust them. We trust them on the fact that this is going to benefit the society and this is something for the common good or social welfare. So we want to know then that how the volunteers will get benefit from through their contribution in that particular volunteerism, and also how much sustainable that project will be, what result we will be really contributing to the social transformation or community development. And then rest of the things are there when comes the financial part of it. As Haresh rightly said that corporate के लिए हम सभी का mindset यही है कि they are rich people. For that matter, even for Rotary clubs, which are not clubs, as she mentioned rightly, we think that they are having good resources. But as NSS as far as NSS is concerned, we are getting a very limited budget from the government, right? It is a fund-based organization, and it comes under the Ministry of Youth and Sports Affairs, run by the Central Government of India. And we get very, very limited funds. So we are looking out for the financial aspect of it whenever volunteers are contributing and they are going out for some activity. So their conveyance and their refreshment part should be taken care, and also they should get a certificate as a part of recognition of their contribution towards that particular activity.
100%. Priya, what would be your question? what would you ask people?
I'll
to
not
ask
just ask them why, I'll ask them why not. See, if my first question with, or to anybody who wants to collaborate or partner, I ask them, what's in it for you? If what's in it for you is monetary, it's transactional, that's the same output you'll receive. Any student, according to me, if a certificate drives them, if a recognition drives them, that's not passion. Please don't work with them. Because they will not contribute in the longer run. If there are 10 people in the classroom, and there are 10 people, out of 10, there are 2 people who say that I want to contribute, irrespective of the fact that I won't get a certificate, that means they are sincere. So collaborate or partnership for sincerity. That means if you have, does this mean I'll have to stop quickly? Okay. Okay. So sincerity. So if you're contributing, if you're partnering, look at sincerity. Only then the contribution will have a ripple effect. Otherwise it will die down. As simple as that.
Okay, so my question would be like, what happens after the excitement is over of the partnership? What is the shared commitment and how would you sustain it? Like, so what would you do? It's like bringing up a baby, you know. So what is the partnership?
What is the sustainability?
What is the sustainability? After the excitement is over of the initial stage, then what?
Yes.
So what is the commitment level?
So before answer that question, actually what Priya said is sometimes, you know, it's doesn't work in corporate. I'll tell you why. Because corporate, if you not recognize that person will say, how will I get motivated then? You know, so that is also the thing. I'm saying that, you know, it sometimes it different forum, different things, right? So for corporates is the thing that volunteering मैंने किया. Now again, when I tell people that you have done the volunteering activity, now please go and record your volunteering leave. Some people say that, Haresh, I'm here not for the volunteering leave. Volunteering leave, so I get many things. We have unlimited sick leave policy. We have Saturday, Sunday holidays. I don't want volunteering leaves alag se. So some people are not here for the recognition from the corporate side, but still they want that, you know, mere line manager ko at least bata to hone do that I have done the volunteering activity. You know, that is how the person will get motivated. Now to answer the question, for corporate, we ask many questions, to be very frank. Many questions. Like, we don't ask just one question. There are various reasons, because to enter in the corporate, that's also in the bank itself, because we have RBI issue, plus there are so many other issues. So we ask for the due diligence, then we also ask budget kitna hai. Thanks for that, because people say that corporate is always rich, but we always ask how much, you know, please tell me that, because everybody is charging a lot, and nowadays, I don't know, some people are charging from the per volunteer basis, some people are charging from the lump sum basis. It all depends. Now they also ask me ulta question, Haresh, tera budget kitna hai? So for me also it is very difficult for me to say them कि मैं कितना बताऊँ. You know, it's kind of the negotiation phase. So budget, we ask all the due diligence things, because we also think from the risk management perspective. Like tomorrow if somebody is going for the beach cleaning activity, he should be safe. So from that perspective, because it will come on me who organize that. So that due diligence we have to see. We have to see the authenticity of the person who's organizing that, which is the organizer, whether he has done earlier or not. कि हम लोग fresher को भी कैसे, how it is possible for we to give the chance to the fresher. Now tomorrow if I'm sending it people to the NSS, I really need to see first. I should go, or maybe I should send some EV champion. Please जाके देखो पहले. Because that the risk factor comes in the corporate. Now I don't know whether and this all these things are sometimes not bothered for maybe NSS things. They don't see the due diligence and all that stuff, but we do. So that is also sometimes takes lots of time. Sometimes we discuss something in January till June wo hota hi nahi hai. Because of this, all the approvals, this, that. So there are so many questions, frankly, we ask to them. It's process driven, correct.
In fact, for NSS also, there is a lot of due diligence as well. Absolutely. Thank you so much, in fact, for such a wonderful session. In fact, the kind of insights we all got through this. Wonderful insights, wonderful learnings as well. I will be taking we have just 5 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, we can take just 2 questions from the audience.
There's a small NGO which engages 600 volunteers, and there's a very larger NGO which engages, like NSS, which engages 6,000 volunteers. But then the impact on a smaller, the impact is more or less the same on the volunteers, the students engaged. Which organization, you have a choice to like pick up one organization, which organization will Standard Chartered pick and why?
How much you will charge me? No, I'll tell you why. Because there are so many other parameters also. Not only the budget, not only the whether the person is small or big, it's also see what impact that person has done. Okay. Now there are, for example, also now gone those days where corporates are actually asking the agency to organize something. The corporates are also asking NGOs also to do. You know, and NGOs also become very smart now that they are also coming with the volunteering activities, which is really good. That is how it should be. Okay, why we always depend on the agency to organize something. So to answer your question, it all depends like how it happens. Like for example, what exactly the activity also you are giving it to me. So it is not like whether the NGO is small or the big or the impact is small or the big. What activity you are giving me? What is the budget? Whether you are able to organize that activity for me, what exactly I want, you know, because I know my people. So from that perspective, from that mentality perspective, that I can tell them, okay, ठीक है, ये हो सकता है, we can definitely do this activity. Because sometimes what NGO or maybe the agency, NGO to agency generally doesn't complain, but from the NGO side, because I understand they're very passionate about that things. And sometimes the corporate people, they're not passionate. They are just from the tick box activity because we have the target. Right? So from the target perspective also the thing is we do the volunteering activities and sometimes अगर वो ठीक से नहीं होता है, which I said earlier about the selfies which people take in the beach cleaning activities. So फिर then NGO tells me saying that, you know, Haresh, they are doing this. So yeah. Yeah. And what you know, Priya said about the influencing thing, very important thing. In fact, what she said about the influencing, I also want to say that how many really CEOs talk about volunteering? Very few, right? They are also like, why we are talking about only Bollywood stars, but why? What about CEOs then?
Yes. I hope that answers your question in one way or the other. Great.
View, but there are challenges with this generation. And let's, you know, if you could just tell us, from your end, because the volunteering sector has to adapt to a generation, especially during COVID, which I see a shift pre-COVID and post-COVID, right? And we have to accept they were born in a time that has affected them. What would be your honest thing to the sector of how do we adapt to this generation?
I continue to love Gen Z irrespective of the question. See, I feel they're not challenged enough. If you challenge them, now look at the facilities they have, look at the opportunities they have vis-a-vis what we had. They're born with the laptops and mobile phones, you know, right from the time that they open their eyes. They have information all around them, information overload. To me, the most important thing that we need to train Gen Z on is basically to ask the right questions because they have all the answers at the click of a button. But how do you generate curiosity? How do you generate critical thinking? How do you generate decision making? Today, even today in our country, the decision of a 35-year-old, 40-year-old person is still on their parents. They still don't take responsibility for their decisions. If they don't take responsibility for their decisions at the age of 40, what can you expect from a 18, 17-year-old person? So challenges basically lies within the households. You change the mindset of the parents, of us. We've ruined it for the Gen Z. We are responsible. They are not responsible. They are making it right. So I feel right mentoring, right way to challenge them. What Project Mumbai does is brilliantly challenging them with things that is impossible for them. So if you bring out things it's not possible for you, they'll put their hands into it. It's ulta. You tell them, nahi ho paega tumse. They'll say, kaise nahi ho paega? Let me try. But if you sit hours and hours explaining to them how to do it, they'll all leave the room. Their attention span is for 3 seconds. Yeah, straightforward. You give them, no, they are. I'm saying you they are. You tell them, boss, this is what, you bring an Amitabh Bachchan into the classroom and you teach them filmmaking. They will not learn. They will take selfie and they'll go back like he said. But you tell them, you go out and make a film at, a slum, and they will come back with results that you've never thought of. They're honest, they're transparent. This is what I meant by saying straightforward. Very transparent. Transactional by nature. So you very clear, ye milega, ye karoge, that's it.
So on that note, for the corporate also, that now we have a big question that we were just discussing on the forum, and there are many agencies who's managing volunteering. They should also bring that element into the picture, that how we should ask Gen Z staff to do volunteering activity. So as Priya said, that if I force them to do the volunteering activity which corporate wants strategically, say for example mentoring, which we want, or maybe a financial literacy, for example. If I tell them to do financial literacy with the kids, they will not do it. But they might want to do the animal shelter. What I'm trying to tell you is about their interest.
That's exactly what we keep doing at Project Mumbai also, that let's not discuss what's broken. Let's discuss what we can do right and bring it at scale as well. Very insightful conversations personally as well. Thank you so much for your time. I will quickly now give you all the certificates that we would want to give you as a token of appreciation.